Hello, my name is KRoss. I'm a student at WGU Washington, studying for a degree in information technology. And this is my presentation for TJP1, Applications of Effective Communication. And I will be talking about BYOD, or Bring Your Own Device. Now, BYOD represents Bring Your Own Device and refers to the recent trend of employees bringing their own personal devices, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, phablets, even desktops, to their workplace with the goal or desire to access the company data, applications, and solutions from that device. Now, today I hope to inform you important decision makers exactly what devices we're talking about with BYOD, also the pros and cons of BYOD, and finally how to properly prepare ourselves and secure our company data for a BYOD environment. Now, BYOD is a popular idea between users and bosses. It can benefit a company's bottom line, and it makes a company implementing BYOD a more attractive option for new recruits. However, if not properly instituted, the company's security and data can be easily compromised. Today, I will highlight BYOD's benefits, target its vulnerabilities, and then we'll outline three main steps to reduce and or eliminate those vulnerabilities and hopefully allow you to comfortably support a new BYOD environment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, BYOD popularity is growing among employees and employers. The availability and growth of consumer technology has caught up and surpassed much of the technology deployed by enterprises. Or essentially, our employees have better computers, better devices than what those are that we're deploying to them. Many employees have a strong conviction on what technology they use, so much so they're willing to provide it themselves. This is especially true for the workforce or the individuals entering the workforce generation, entering the workforce today. They've had technology at their fingertips almost their entire life. They're very comfortable with what they know. They've used it forever. So it's almost a given that they will use that for their job. Companies practicing BYOD environments are often viewed as progressive, forward-thinking institutions by recruits. So this makes hiring a little easier. The new generation, many are seeing a company practicing BYOD as an attractive, forward-thinking, up-to-date company. And there's immediate cost savings for when employees opt for BYOD use. A survey by Cisco's Internet Business Solutions Group and shared by Jeffrey Burt in a 2013 article in eWeek indicates that a BYOD environment can lead to significant productivity, efficiency, and financial gains, and estimates that it could save an organization $1,000 per mobile user every year. So there's financial gains for the company to go to a BYOD environment because we're not buying computers for the user. They bring their own in. Now, the positives of BYOD, however, do come with some negatives. BYOD has its vulnerabilities and can cripple a business. IT hasn't the control of the devices. Uncontrolled devices are impossible to combat against. Viruses and malware, and illegally pirated software. Now, both of those items could jeopardize a company horribly. It's very important to protect ourselves against those things. Devices are becoming smaller in size, contain more storage, and are less detectable. Those facts make securing our data against data leak loss a very difficult and risky task. Now, that's all the bad. There is a lot of good, and there's steps we can do to combat those vulnerabilities and allow a company to reap the benefits of the popular trend. The first step is to construct a proper governance policy, which includes Clear, detailed instructions specifying which platforms are supported and how. What sort of device-specific support a user should expect from IT. What the user's own responsibilities and risks are. Who qualifies for using their own device. And finally, guidelines for employees purchasing a personal device for use at work, such as the minimum requirements for the operating systems. Now, once you have a good proper governance policy, we're not done. I expect BYOD to be rather fluid for the next few years, and we should, on a regular basis, look at our policy and update it appropriately. The second step we can do to protect ourselves in a BYOD environment, protect our data, is to employ proper security technology and software measures. Now, what that means is we should think about reserving access to only the necessary services. We shouldn't hand over the keys to the kingdom on rollout. We should look hard at what services need access to, what services these devices are going to be accessing. Rather than open everything up, we should just allow access to the services that are necessary, and then we can build from there. We should employ a virtual desktop infrastructure solution, or VDI. VDI is virtual desktop infrastructure. Essentially what that is it is a remote connection into our networks. So what we do is load an application onto the personal device, and that application will allow connection into a virtual desktop on our systems, a controlled desktop. That allows us to do is it allows IT control to retain control of that system. So they can have a system built that the user or employees remote onto and then work from that way. So it doesn't affect anything or nothing from their applications or their devices will enter our network. It's just simply a virtual window into our network, and then they work off of our devices. Now, a few examples of VDI is Citrix Zen Desktop, VMware, IBM Smart Cloud Desktop Infrastructure, and Microsoft Remote Desktop Connect. That's just 4 of many that are out there. There's a lot of options out there, and it is pretty much the standard. If we're going to be moving to BYOD, we want that virtual desktop infrastructure to allow connections in. The next thing is network monitoring solution. We want IT to be able to monitor the network and look for vulnerabilities, identify vulnerabilities. And this could be virus software, which we've already deployed, and other software-specific solutions that will watch what's going on the network. And finally, proper network divisions. We need to be sure that we're dividing our network up, public versus private. These personal devices should never hit our private network. They will need internet. That's how they connect into our system. We should provide them a public network offsite of our sanitized private network. Our services should remain on and continue to run on our private network. A personal device should never be on our public network. Now, we've talked about a governance policy, and we've talked about security software. The last recommendation I'd make when you're looking to deploy a BYOD is to invest the time and resources into employee training. Define exactly what BYOD is. A survey conducted by market research firm Harris Interactive and released by the Cellular Telecommunications Industry Association reported in May of 2013 eWeek article by Nathan Eddy that nearly half, 47% of consumers surveyed said they had never heard of BYOD. and only 30% said they were very or somewhat familiar with it. Now, despite that unfamiliarity with the term, when told the definition, more than half of the users said they engaged in some sort of BYOD behavior. So essentially what that means is people are using it and they don't even realize it. So that's scary. Makes us very vulnerable. So it's very important that we define and educate our employees what BYOD is. The next thing we can do is cover the minimum requirements or protections of a device should have on it. This includes a passcode, a remote lock, and remote wipe capabilities. So this is the minimum requirements. If somebody wants to use their personal device at work, these are minimum requirements that must be met, must be enabled on that device. Finally, clearly define protocol for an individual and organization to follow in the event of lost or stolen device. Essentially what that means is if the device is stolen, what do they need to do? Who do they need to contact and when? How quickly? We need to remember that if a device lands in the hands of somebody, our data can be compromised as long as that device is still enabled. So it's important that we define exactly what should be done if a device turns up lost or stolen. Now I'm nearly through here. There's just a few more things I wanted you to bring to your attention. An eWeek article in May of 2013 by Nathan Eddy, a survey of chief information officers by Gartner, an IT research firm, on BYOD programs concluded, expanding access and driving innovation will ultimately be the legacy of BYOD phenomenon. It is projected that 38% of companies will stop providing devices to workers by 2017. 38% by 2017. So that's a lot and just around the corner. Now, David Wells, Vice President and Distinguished Analyst at Gartner, said in a statement, the benefits of BYOD include creating new mobile workforce opportunities, increasing employee satisfaction, and reducing or avoiding cost. We're finally reaching the point where IT officially recognizing what has always been going on. People use their business devices for non-work purposes, Willis said. They often use a personal device in business. Once you realize that, you'll understand you need to protect your data in another way besides locking the full device down. That's a good point. BYOD movement is upon us, like it or not. Employee demands will win out against IT concerns. Some say employees who allow staff to use their own computer devices at work are more attractive to top recruits. James Hayes, in an October 2012 article on engineering and technology, reported 75% of company bosses said that allowing staff to use their own kit for work purposes would position their firm as a flexible and attractive employer. And that 60% are also reckon that they have saved hardware by letting staff use their own devices. So, in my opinion, it's best for us to embrace BYOD, get out ahead of it and pave its way. Create a well-constructed governance policy to protect us, define what is appropriate and what's not appropriate in a BYOD environment, find technology solutions to assist us in keeping that data secure, invest the time into our users. It's an investment in our fortitude. Successfully focusing and addressing these three topics will allow our business to reap the rewards of a BYOD environment while keeping its data secure. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope this presentation helps with your consideration of BYOD. And are there any questions?